So the truth is that Samsung never fully gave up on flip phones. This right here is the Samsung Galaxy Folder 2, and that Fold name sounds familiar, right? But yeah, this phone came out in 2016, not in the US, so I did have to import this via eBay, but it ran Android 6.0 and it had that clamshell form factor and a crappy camera on the back. But this really was just an appetizer for the future of flip phones, and that's what we have here with the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3. Now, one of the main reasons you might be watching this video is because of the new price point. So this phone costs $999, so it's under that sweet spot of $1,000. And when you're messing with something that's kind of newer technology and something different, people want the price to be something familiar. I think Samsung has nailed that with this. And this new price tag is going to get more eyes on this phone, but once your eyes lock into this phone, I think you're gonna like what you see, because I do, because I love the fact that Samsung went with a more boxy square design for this new Z Flip 3 versus the rounded design of the original Galaxy Flip. And so when you're holding this phone, it feels really balanced in your hand. And also when it is closed up, I mean, it's nothing like just being able to have a full smartphone in the palm of your hand, but it just feels more secure. And that's because the sides are squared off. And honestly, I usually use a case on my phone, but even with this, I've been rocking it with no case most of the time because I feel like I have a really good grip. But Samsung does sell a couple of different cases, like their traditional leather cases, but they also have this silicone case that does have this ring loop on the back, so you can put your index finger in the back of it, and now it's going to be pretty hard for you to drop that phone, but also you could use that to attach it to a bag or your belt or something. Now, even though I like the design, there are a couple of things that I think could be better, and one could be moving the volume controls and also the power/fingerprint scanner button down a little bit, because it's a little bit of a stretch to reach the volume buttons here at the top, or maybe they could even move it to the left-hand side down some. And then also too, when you're trying to open this phone with one hand, it is a little bit of work here, because you have to kind of put your finger in between the two pieces and lift up, and sometimes my fingernail is actually touching the screen, which I don't want. Even though this ultra thin glass is actually more durable and the better screen protector, I don't want my fingernails to be touching the screen. So if Samsung could maybe put a little notch here that would allow you to kind of put the meat of your thumb in there to be able to open it up a little bit easier with one hand, I think that would make the experience that much better. Now, this phone does come in multiple different colors, and if you do get it from Samsung, you will get some exclusive colors on the website that you can choose from. But I've been rocking this green color since the beginning here, and you know what? This is actually my favorite color out of the bunch. I've been taking a bunch of photos. It just looks really good. But there's one reason why I went with the black version here for my main personal device, and that's because it is a matte finish. But I do wish that Samsung just made all the colors matte. That would be my personal preference. But no matter which color you choose from right now, if I had to pick a phone for design of the year right this second, I'm going with this phone because of the looks, the feel, and everything in between. But if I had to give out a most improved award to one feature about this phone, it has to do with that cover display on the front, which is 4 times bigger than the one that came on the original Galaxy Flip. And you can see here just the size difference. I mean, this thing is so tiny on the Flip that you never really wanted to use it. You could, but you never really wanted to. Now with this one on the Z Flip 3, you can swipe over from left to right to now see your notifications. And now the big thing about having this bigger display is that when I do tap into something here, like this Fandango notification here, I don't mind reading the entire thing on this small screen instead of just seeing like a logo and then having to open up your phone to read it. So that is nice. But the one thing that does suck is that you can't really interact with these notifications. You can't really like respond to a text message or a phone call from this screen. You have to either tap on it and then you have to open up the app, and that requires you to open up your phone and then interact with it that way. So I wish it did have some more controls as far as how you can interact with those notifications. But you know what? I do like the widgets that you have on this cover display. So if you swipe over from right to left, you can scroll through your widgets. So I have one here for the Galaxy Wearable app, so I can control my Galaxy Buds 2. I can turn on the noise cancellation of things. Then also you have some playback controls for an app like YouTube, or if you are playing some music, you will be able to control the playback controls with that. And then also too, you got the weather app, you got an alarm app, you got Samsung Health, you also have a timer. And then I have one other one here for my calendar that I didn't activate just yet. But yeah, if I wanted to activate it again, I have to tap on it and then I have to open up my phone. So again, I wish I can do more stuff just right here from the screen. And I also think just the feature of this really relies on developers being able to have access to add different widgets, so we can just see more being added over time. And you can also swipe down from the top and you can control the brightness of this outside display, and also too, you can change between vibrate, silent, and also ring modes. And you can also change up the wallpaper on this outside display, and Samsung does have some animated ones that you can add on there. And you can also of course match the wallpaper to one of your new Galaxy Watch 4 classics like the one I have here. Now, I like this outside display, but we all know the party starts when you flip open this phone and you take a look at this 6.7-inch AMOLED display. And just like normal Samsung screens, this thing nails it when it comes to brightness, and also the colors really pop off on the screen. So I really like looking at movies and videos on this. And then also too, new this year is that it does run at 120 hertz refresh rate. And then we do have something returning this year, and that is the crease that goes left to right across the display, right down in the middle. So Samsung hasn't figured out how to get rid of that just yet. So unlike the Galaxy Z Fold 3 that has the crease going down the middle from top to bottom, this one, because it goes left to right, you do come across it a lot more throughout your everyday use, because you're always scrolling up like this, or maybe you're swiping left and right, and that crease is a really good sweet spot for where my thumb naturally lies. So that is one of the improvements to these foldable displays that needs to happen over time. But just like with the Z Fold 3, I have gotten used to it. And since this screen does have a 21:9 aspect ratio, unless you're watching video in that format, you're gonna get some thick black bars on the left and right hand side of the video. Now on things like YouTube, you can pinch and zoom to kind of fill up that entire screen, but unfortunately you're gonna be cropping in and maybe cut off the top of the head of the subject that you're watching. But the good thing is that you do have some good stereo speakers on this phone to go alongside the video. Now because of the tallness of the screen, sometimes reaching the top of it with your fingers can be a little bit of a reach, but you can enable the one-handed mode here, and I have it to activate when I double tap the home button. So now I have this screen here that I can move up and down, and also too, I can move it over to the right-hand side or the left-hand side, and now things are gonna be a lot more manageable to be able to use on this screen. And the screen is gonna be a little bit tougher to damage this year, but that's not because they've added the Gorilla Glass Victus like they have on the back of the phone, but it's because they have a new, better protective film that they apply to this main display. Now you can take it off if you want to, but I recommend leaving it on to protect the screen from scratches and dings. And also too, feel free to clean out the area around the front facing camera here, because that sometimes can collect dust and stuff. Now that definitely can be remedied when they bring over that under display camera technology like they have with the Z Fold 3, but I'm not mad at them not bringing it over this year, because the camera quality would be a little bit worse. So I'll hold off on that, but I can't wait for it to happen. Oh, and don't be afraid about getting this phone wet, because it does have an IPX8 water resistant rating. So if you get caught in the rain, you drop it in your sink, no worries, but you still have to be careful about dropping this thing around dirt or getting it into sand, because it still isn't really kind of protective against that. And that's even with this new Armor aluminum hinge that this has that makes the hinge lighter and stronger. And it does have some bristles inside of it to help keep dust out, but you still want to be careful around those little particles. And something else you should be careful with is the battery life for this phone, because if you're looking for all-day battery life, you're not going to get it unless you really make some restrictions and concessions with your use of this phone throughout that day. So the 3,300 milliamp hour battery inside of this is, once you get used to it and once you go through those first couple of days and you see how long the battery lasts with your normal use, you kind of know what to expect. But definitely this is not a battery champ, and if you're looking for something that can last all day without you having to plug it in, you might want to look elsewhere. But don't let anyone scare you like this phone is going to die by noon or anything. It just means that once you get to around like maybe 4 p.m., 5 p.m., you might want to take a look at that battery percentage, and you might want to turn things off, turn the brightness down and stuff. And then when it does come time to charge this phone, it does support 15-watt wired charging, but remember, you don't get a charger inside of the box, so you have to bring that to the party yourself. But it does support wireless charging, and it still does have that wireless power share feature, so you can put a pair of your wireless earbuds on the back and charge it that way, but don't do it too much because you might need someone to allow you to do that with your own phone. And now you know what this sound means. It's time to talk about the cameras. Was that corny? I think so a little bit, but I did it anyway. But yeah, on the back you have an ultra wide camera and a wide angle camera, and then when you flip open the phone, you have that front facing camera, and the performance is good. It's not gonna be better than the S21 series, so don't expect that. But all the photos and videos that I've took with this phone, I am perfectly happy with it. Now, I do have the S21 Ultra, and I do have the iPhone 12 Pro, so those are gonna be my #1 choices over this camera system on this phone. But if you're not a reviewer like me and you just need something that looks good, especially on social media, these cameras are going to perform well. But one thing I do miss is a triple camera setup on the back. So of course, to complete that setup for this phone, it needs a telephoto camera, but you don't have that. I wish I could see that next year. But real talk, the best feature of this camera system is really just the way you can take photos with this phone. So the camera app still supports flex mode, which is a software enhancement. So when you do fold the phone in half, the app will be able to split itself into two separate pieces. So with the camera app, basically you'll have a preview for the camera at the top and then your controls for the cameras down below. So you can swipe between the different modes like video mode, portrait mode, you name it. And if you choose to, you can also swap the location of the camera preview and you can put it down at the bottom and then you can move your controls up at the top. But the best part about this is that it basically gives you a little tripod along with your phone no matter where you go. And I actually just like taking photos and videos by myself with it in flex mode because it just feels like I have a better grip and this allows me to have more stability, especially when I'm taking videos with this like so. So yeah, flex mode is cool for this, but also another way that you can use this phone to take photos that's different from most other phones is that if you wanted to use the rear facing cameras for a selfie, you can activate the preview on the cover display to allow you to see what you're about to take a photo or video of. So on that cover display, you can just swipe to be able to swap between photos and videos. And then now you can go ahead and get that good picture in with the main cameras, or if you're taking a photo or video of someone, you can allow them to see themselves before you actually hit that shutter button. Now the software portion of this review is not going to be that long because it's not really a lot of changes like we saw with the Z Fold 3, and that's mostly because you don't have that big canvas of a screen to be able to work with, but you still have this edge panel that you can swipe over and you have access to some of your more recent apps or some of your favorite apps down here. And also you can set up app pairs so you can open up two apps at once. Like I have it set up to open up Instagram and YouTube so you can scroll through these like so all at the same time, and it's easy to kind of swap them up and down just like that. And it's kind of what you expect, but one thing I didn't expect was Samsung DeX not to be available on this phone, which is kind of weird because the phone definitely has the power to run it. It has that Qualcomm Snapdragon 888, it has plenty of RAM, but for some reason Samsung said, you know what, we're not going to put it on this phone. Now it could be because they do have it on the Z Fold 3 and they want that to be their productivity foldable phone, but I don't know. I wish Samsung DeX was on this phone because it does have the power to do it. And Samsung typically is a company that says, look, if our phone can do it, we'll allow it to do it. But this time they didn't. Okay, so look, if you made it this far in this review, I appreciate you staying, and also hit that subscribe button and notification bell if you haven't already. But look, I think by now you know whether or not you're going to buy this phone. And I think what Samsung has done with dropping that price to $1,000, they've made this phone a more approachable. And I think that if you've just been looking for something different, something that's away from the norm, and you miss those flip phones from the past, or if you never used one, you just want to kind of try it out and be the cool kid at the party, this is the phone for you. But truly, this is the everyday foldable that I can take with me every single day, enjoy that flip form factor. And one thing a lot of people don't talk about is that this thing fits a lot better in your pocket because it goes deeper in your pocket because it's more compact. So when I am riding my bike, I love the feeling of not having your phone feel like it's going to fall out. But for the most part, I think Samsung has just nailed the design, and they've nailed a phone that appeals to everyone. And whether or not that's you, I don't know. But if it does appeal to you, I think this is the right time to buy in. So this is my review. I appreciate you watching again, and leave a comment down below and let me know what you think about this phone. There's my signature flip that I do at the end of my videos. But look, like always, I do want to thank you for watching this video, and I will catch you later. Peace.